Does social media make us faster or just more anxious? If you don't post your run, did it even happen? Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Secret Surge. We want to say thank you for all of your support with our first episode last week. I'm Stevie Lawrence.
And I'm Lindsay.
And today we're going to be talking about the topic of social media.
Does social media make us better runners or is it just a distraction?
There's definitely good and bad about social media. I'm excited to hear what your thoughts are on it as well.
I have many thoughts. You have your sign in the back. This is our outline now for this episode. The good, the bad, and the cringe.
Cringe is going to be a very important part of this episode. I think there's a lot of cringe culture associated with social media. I don't know if it's really necessary. Honestly, I think it doesn't need to be as deep as I think it is.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, especially starting to get into content creation in the last couple of years, I guess. It hasn't been that long for me.
Yeah, because you've got quite a good following.
Yeah, I never had a TikTok, and now I don't know if I want to get TikTok. That was some recent news. You have a TikTok, right, Stevie?
Yeah, I do have a TikTok, so it's actually where I have the most following. Only just more. But it's definitely where I've had the most well-received videos and probably felt the most comfortable sharing online. So I was not looking forward to having that ban, and then it came back in like 15 hours later. Yeah, it seemed like a big waste of time.
I definitely was on the side for, which is actually why I didn't have a TikTok originally. I was on the side of like, if there is foreign involvement in any sort of like data stuff, like I'm definitely on the warier side of that. Less now because I decided to go more into content creation, but even before I didn't want to have like my Instagram was private. I didn't like share any real info, and now I'm just kind of like, it doesn't matter if the government wants my information, they're gonna get it, like unless I completely went off the grid. So I've dissipated that fear at this point.
Yeah, I think I used to have the Instagram on private as well, and then at some point I was like, you know what? I'm an open book. I don't care. I'm really not that interesting. I'm not doing anything suspicious.
You are. You're interesting.
Thank you.
Living in different times, like you've said.
Completely different times, and it's either you get on board with it or you get left behind, or you're just happy going on the path you're going on. It's interesting. It definitely changes the way that runners are getting sponsorships. It's changing the way they're interacting. It's a new aspect of athletics that people 20 years ago didn't have to deal with.
Yeah, definitely in athletics and people's businesses. If you don't have an Instagram or a TikTok or a Facebook or all of them, you have a much smaller chance of getting exposure for your business. Obviously, unless you are the top of the top, and we touched on this last week, a lot of times you do have to rely on exposure and sponsorship opportunities and giving brands some content for you to make any money.
Exactly. I guess it's a good opportunity for people. It's another income stream. It's another method, but it's also a lot more putting yourself out there, leaving yourself out to be judged. So good and bad, of course.
Yes. So let's start with the good, since we have that up. What's the good about this?
Okay, more exposure for athletes, more opportunities for sponsorships. That's got to be the main big one if you're creating the content.
If you have any personal stories about how it's given you more opportunity?
For myself, I'm recently actually a ambassador of the feed. You can get a whole variety of different supplements and proteins, gels, hydration, and I would say without having a somewhat social media following on Instagram and being quite a running based account, I don't think I would be able to have that, which has allowed me to have some products that I wouldn't usually be able to afford.
The other good part about the social media is other people can see what elite training actually looks like. You see a lot of reels of people's workouts or YouTube videos. Honestly, I'd like to see a little bit even more transparency with the professionals in this. For example, Boston has done, and they post exactly what the splits are. And I think recently last year I saw Elle Perrier's like 800-meter time trial or something, and then she went on and did a bunch of 1K repeats, and it showed, her times and what she was doing. But I'd want to see more of the outside of that. I'd like to see more of how they are recovering and preparing, and obviously that comes with putting yourself out there, and I don't think professional runners maybe want to do that as much yet. I'm like, there's not a lot of pros that do it themselves. They have other people like FloTrack just make videos for them.
That's true. A lot of the top athletes do have someone else to do it for them, and it's very much focused on the workouts. But I do love seeing the people that are just, slightly lower than that. They're still professional athletes, or again, bridging that gap, but they do a much better job at showing the day-to-day, and I find it so interesting. I think good examples of this are Ali Ostranger and then Philly Bowden. Both of them have created a huge following for themselves based around social media, particularly on YouTube, and they're going into the nitty-gritty kind of things, and I think that's really great, and I'd love to see more of it.
I agree. Okay, what about the bad? We got to talk about the bad.
I think the worst part of social media has to be the hate comments. The hate comments and just people being a bit too brave on the internet. I've never once thought, I don't like what they're doing, I don't like this person, let me type it and tell them that.
It's a very it's a frame of mind.
Don't tell me if you don't like me. Don't say it to my face. Say it to your friends. Say it within your household. Don't tell me. Please. I think it's crazy, honestly.
The one that rings true most for me are the unrealistic expectations. When I started posting on social media, Instagram specifically, I did not expect anything to happen per se. I just wanted to share my life. And in December of 2022, I posted a video, and I posted it in November. It went viral. I got over 1 million views in the next month and a half. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you're probably wondering, why does she have 15,000 followers? Well, it was 17,000 or 18 originally. I lost a lot because a lot of them are fake, but all of them were from that specific video. And I honestly did not think to continue my social media. Like, usually when you do that, you have to post again, keep people engaged, say, hi, that this is my life and this is what I'm about. And I wasn't
expecting it to blow up.
Exactly. So then you're like expected to keep this engagement going. And I was going through a divorce right when that was happening. And so I was just like, everything was going over my head, and I did not have any time to put into it. And I was trying to get through just like day-to-day stuff. And so the expectation of having more content was a little overwhelming for me.
Yes, to suddenly feel like you are obligated to be posting just because one video's gone viral. You're like, oh, this is my time, I can make it. But, you've got things going on, like going through some pretty unpleasant stuff.
Yeah. And then you think like, oh, I'm losing all these followers. That was such an ego, just like slash for me. Like, I am losing followers every single day.
What was the video actually about? What was it?
It was a professionally filmed video that was actually done for Sound Running. I'm wearing my Sound Running shirt today. I actually got this from the race that I posted that video for. So it was the Cross Champs, Austin Cross Champs. Okay. And I posted a video that Sound was doing all these athlete highlights. And at the time I was on McCurdy trained in Flagstaff, and we had a professional videographer just filming us doing a workout. It was me and two of my teammates, and I put an Eminem and Tupac song to it, which some people did not like. They said, if I see another white girl post Eminem and Tupac, like, I'm gonna lose it. But I liked the song, so I posted it. And it was just...
This is ridiculous.
That's what they said. It was embarrassing. Dude, the comments on that video also are very cringe. But it was us just running. There were, like, we looked very athletic and we looked good. And obviously there were a lot of, like, what's the word? Objectifying comments about it. But there were also a lot of great ones, like, wow, you guys look so strong. You're great runners. You know, what shoes do you wear? But that was it. It was just a 15-second video, professional videography of us doing a workout.
I think I've heard someone say that if you really want to make it in social media and content creation, you've got to be prepared for those DMs and those creepy messages and just the ones that are really objectifying. And I guess that's just the reality of it. But with every one of those comments comes the comments you were saying, where it's people like, yeah, you're so good. What shoes are you wearing? What are you doing? You're so inspirational. But I'd like to go back to sound running, actually, because I don't think we went into detail last episode, is that we actually met through sound running. And I was looking back through some past results, and I remember exactly how we started talking. It was because we both raced in the steeplechase at the sound running on track night, which was held at Mount Sac a couple years ago, I think now. And we ran this race nearly side by side the whole way. We finished in the exact same time. I think you were 14th in 10:10 and I was 15th in 10:10.
Yeah.
It was a big race. There were some big names, some Olympians. Courtney Wayment was in the race.
Yeah, not a big race in terms of numbers, but a big race in terms of talent.
Yes, it was very talented, and for me that was probably, at the time, one of the most talented fields I've ever been in. So I was on that start line like, oh my gosh, am I really about to take on Courtney Wayman? From that race, I posted a video on social media of me going over one of the barriers. You're going over the barrier at the same time because we're running together. And it's like, oh, can I have this video? So there we go, a social media friendship pretty much.
Yeah, and that video actually did really, really well. That was one of the next videos that I posted that did well, because I put like a inspirational talking background to it. I think on that one there was at least 50,000 views on that. So
I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna have to remake that and do the same, because I'm pretty sure mine got like 100 views, if that.
just it's all about the algorithm. Freaking algorithm. Ugh. And then you go to doom scrolling, obviously an issue, which is what that ends up got you either trying to figure out. For us, maybe it's what other people are posting that's successful, and you're just like, okay, like this person did this, instead of focusing on your own goals and content creation. If that's what you're doing, you're just comparing yourself to other people, which is one of the things that I saw does not make a successful podcast. So we're not going to compare ourselves to other people.
Oh, okay.
Easier said than done, right?
You really have to kind of take social media with a pinch of salt, and I think everybody knows it's a highlight reel, and we don't need to be telling people that anymore, because I think everyone knows. It's just really getting it in your head.
Or you have the people that are dramatizing their life to make people see, like the amount of times I've seen people post themselves crying is kind of insane on social media, where I'm like, Why would you post that? Like, I couldn't imagine posting that, but it gets like a reaction out of people. But it's this vulnerability idea.
It is. I get that it's showing the good and the bad side of it, and that's like some real like footage. But when I've done some of my YouTube videos, I've been like crying, and I'm like, am I meant to be recording this now? And I'd be like, and I'd like grab my phone, and I'd be like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell them I was sad.
It's a little strange. I don't think I could do it. I also am a very ugly crier, so I'm like, maybe I won't do that. Too vulnerable. No. Besides Instagram and Facebook, you have our lovely, dedicated Strava people, which is a whole nother social media platform, and people don't maybe see it as social media. Now you can message on there.
Yes, that's interesting. I think I've done one message on Strava.
I don't think I've done any.
It was, I think my boyfriend said hi on it, and I asked him what his mile time was, and then didn't reply after that.
Should at least text you. God.
Yeah.
Strava is definitely the main like comparison platform if you're a runner or an athlete, and that is definitely, I think it's harmful. For me, I don't really look at people's Stravas in depth. I just use it for my own recording of my training.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would say I'm pretty similar. If I'm scrolling on Strava, it's usually because I'm bored, and then I enjoy it sometimes. I see what my friends are doing, but I try not to spend too much of my time on that. I only post the runs that I think are actually interesting, or hikes that I find interesting. Maybe I've got a good picture and I want to post the picture with it. So I definitely don't post everything on Strava. And because I feel like if I was, I would fall into that trap of, if like this run was too slow, this run, like I didn't run very far, and what are people going to think if I started the run at 6:30 pace and I finished it at 7:30 pace? So
they're just going through your little graph of pulling the thing. Slow down.
I bet it was a hill, but it was a hill. Look at the elevation. Yeah, and I just feel like I would fall into that trap, so I just don't let myself do it unless it's a fun run, a good run, that kind of thing.
Well, a lot of elite athletes do not post their training on their Strava. I noticed.
It's a big secret. A secret.
I'll tell you one thing. My training is not a secret. Anyone can ask me what I'm doing. This is what my coach says. And he said this about his training. He said, someone asked him, well, don't you want to keep your training a secret? And this is when he was doing really well. And he was like, no, you can do it. I just don't think that you're actually going to do the training because it's hard. Like, it's really hard. So you, here you go. Like, here it is. A lot of people just don't end up doing it. So no secret training here.
Okay, I think we should move on to the cringe. I think some of what we've talked about is already the cringe, but I guess it's just links back to the judgmental kind of comments and almost thinking, I can't post this because I only have this many followers, and what if people think that I'm trying? Like, what if they believe that I am trying?
Yeah, that is some truth right there. I
don't know what it is as well. I don't really understand why, but I feel like a lot of people, myself included, think this. Like, why is it a bad thing to try? Whether it's trying to be a good social media content creator or whether it's trying to be the best runner, it just seems that putting yourself out there so that people can see if you fail or not, see if you achieve that goal, is apparently cringy.
When I had that video blow up and got all these followers, I could almost hear, without actually hearing, people being like, what is this? Like, why did she get all of this? Just looping back to the good part, I had already got my X Endurance sponsorship and I wanted to post for them and I wanted to keep posting for them. And that was one of the main things that kept me going, where I'm like, well, like, you can judge me for having these like fake followers or getting a viral video and maybe you don't think I deserve it, but I'm getting money from a sponsorship, so like you can just like F off basically.
So that, God, it's funny. And I don't know if it's possible to do this without cringing at yourself a little bit, because it's just like most people at some point hate hearing their own voice on camera, hate seeing themselves on camera in some way, and you have to kind of just learn to have the confidence, and sometimes that takes a moment. Initially you don't like seeing the stuff you're posting, and then you have to kind of step back a bit, and then you're like, but it's literally just a video of me running.
Do you know how many times in our first video that I felt like I had to edit parts of where I laughed out because I hated the way it sounded so much?
It's crazy because after we filmed that first podcast, that first episode, I laid in bed that night and I was like, oh my God, I've probably said the most offensive things ever. I've probably said the most ridiculous things. I laid there and I was like, oh my goodness, what did I say? And then I listened back to it and I was like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I didn't, like we spoke about Shelby Houlihan, and I was like, oh my God, she's going to hate me. She's gonna hate me. I was like, I just said it wasn't really my thing, wasn't what the direction I would go. And I was like, oh my God, FlowTrack's gonna block me. Like, they're all gonna hate me.
I got blocked by Smag for a comment that I made for someone's performance where someone said, Isn't it hard to drop time when you're at that level? Like, isn't it difficult to go from whatever the time was? I forgot, but it was a crazy drop for a high level, and I responded, and I was like, they're almost always doping. Every case where that's been a thing where they've dropped that much time at that high of a level, they've pretty much been caught doping. I commented that and I got blocked by Sidious. So yeah, I'm blocked by Sidious. It's very cringe. Like, people are going to not like you if you have something to say. So, I mean, obviously we try to, like, we're both respectful and we try to be as respectful as we can. But, you know, it's nice to be able to talk about things. I didn't think I would get blocked.
Yeah, it's a controversial topic, but
yeah.
I mean, it would be silly to pretend that it doesn't exist, and it would be silly to, I guess you always want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, it's almost natural instinct to first think that thought, and then maybe after the thought you can think, yeah, well, they haven't done anything nothing's been proven yet, but the thought's always there because some of these performances are incredible, and it's either an incredible achievement for athletics and humans, or it's the opposite, and it's someone doping, and then it really sucks. I mean, it's people that are doping are taking away opportunities and money and just almost a special moment away from people that are not doping.
Unfortunately, I think I've lost giving people benefit of the doubt at this point. It's kind of like the innocent until proven guilty concept too, and it's very, very hard for me to grasp that now because of just all the things that I've personally been through, all the things I've seen with other athletes. It's difficult for me to, like, my instant thought is the top 1% of athletes are all doping. Like, I just honestly think that at this point, and I don't think they're getting caught. I think there's technology to prevent them from getting caught. Like, it's really sad, like, but that's just where I'm at personally, and that might not be fair, and you know, that's why I'm not on a committee to decide things, but it's like, that's where I'm at right now.
I mean, it's hard when nearly every week I'm seeing a post come out on Instagram saying so-and-so's got a ban now, so-and-so is being caught. It is literally every week that someone's coming out, so that does make it really difficult, especially when you're being fed all this information. Like, again, maybe 10-15 years ago, you weren't even realizing who was being caught out doping because you'd probably have to check the newspaper.
I don't think Shelby hates you, Stevie.
I don't know.
I think she's probably pretty consumed with her own stuff.
She's probably a bit used to it now.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. People don't care about you as much as you think they do.
Yes.
Like, I thought people were rooting for my downfall. I still think some people are. Like, these people have lives. Like, I guarantee you that they're not, looking at us.
Unfortunately, you're not on the top of it. All these random people's lives.
Yeah.
And they're not always thinking your downfall or even thinking that you're the most amazing person. They just you don't come up on their mind.
Yeah.
Which I actually find comforting.
That's exactly. I would prefer that. But some people, man, like, for the comments, if they see something pop up, I think the worst comment that I got, or the worst comments that I got from that video that blew up was like, yeah, they like ran away from their asses. Like, oh my God. Like,
that's crazy.
It is, I looked at those and I was like, it is so good that I have, at that time and now, a mental grasp on, like, my body type, and I don't feel insecure about it. But if I did and I saw those, like, I'd be off social media. I'd be like, nah.
It's really hard. I think I've been fortunate that because I haven't had a huge following, I've not received many comments like that. But I remember this last year receiving one. I posted the video of me coming third place at the British Olympic trials this year, and it's like me running through the line, and then it's the top 3 of us celebrating with the flag, and one of the only comments on this video was, "Are they boys?" And I was like,
what?
It was like, it was just like hinting that we don't look feminine enough.
Oh my god.
And I was like, my best achievement today, as I ran a big PB in this race. I came third place, got a medal. I wasn't really expecting either of those things this year. And suddenly I'm looking at this video where I'm like beaming away, and I'm like, okay, I guess I look like a boy. Okay.
Oh, I've definitely had that thought about me. I don't think I've had a comment, but I'm like, when you're a woman as an athlete, there's definitely an imposter syndrome of being masculine, and we're runners. Like, we're not even like strength training. Like, the women that I see that are doing CrossFit, like, honestly, I don't even think I see them get that much hate about it. Like, people love them, but I'm sure they do. But you know, like,
it's always there.
Yeah, it's always there. But yeah, people gotta be able to tune it out, and I think that kind of brings us back to our just being able to use social media without letting it use you, and that the happiest people are the people that don't let social media dictate your training or your life, really. But you have to be able to let it not affect you too much. I think there's always a little bit of too much.
Yeah, if you can try and separate them, it's great. And I think someone that I follow that does this kind of thing really well is a girl called Florence Given, and she's not a runner, but she is an author and a public figure that, and she talks about cringe a lot. And one of the main points is that you feel the hate comments, you feel the cringe, but you almost separate yourself from it, or you embrace it, and you just realize that it's not about you. Any thoughts or comments that are coming from something that you've posted aren't about you. It's about what that person is taking and finding in themselves. And I've started thinking this through myself. If I see a video and I'm like, oh, I just stop and I'm like, why did that make me cringe? Is it because I didn't have the confidence to post something like that? Like, I could never post something like that. So then it just directs it back to either yourself or the person that's watching, which is a great way to separate it. And also, as someone as a viewer, just kind of a way to pause before you say mean things.
Yeah. The fact that people still say mean things is, I mean, it's always going to happen, but it still baffles me. I'm like, you guys are full on like adults. Like, how are you like saying this stuff? But it makes me, again, lose my faith in people sometimes. But there's always the people that are there for you and cheering you on. So
yes, and even if nearly always that is the most. That's the majority.
Exactly. I know that was definitely the majority of the comments on the one that blew up for me. It was very like positive. Actually, I think Instagram hid the comments that were saying stuff like that. Like,
yeah, you can do that yourself now as well. Yeah,
you can. But Instagram did it. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm still gonna click the hidden comments because I'm too curious. I really like the quote that you posted here, Stevie. Create more than you consume. It really helps to keep me engaged with my own goals and not be focused on what other people are posting.
It's definitely one that I've been trying to use for myself a lot, which is why I put it in here.
Yes, please do.
It's social media can just be a source of creativity. You don't have to make it perfect. You can have fun with it. And I find I enjoy creating the content much more than I just scrolling through that. Like, I'll sit there and scroll and I think I'm having a good time And then all of a sudden, an hour's gone by, and I'm like, well, actually, I don't really feel that good. I haven't really achieved anything. So I think to summarize that in, let's say, 3 points, I'd say 1, post what you want and not what you think you should. 2, remember the big picture and what's most important, whether that's running or whether that's creating content or whether that's running your business. Remember what the main goal is. And 3rd, and in my opinion, most important, no one cares as much as you think they do.
Yeah. For you guys, after this video, we would love to hear how you feel about social media and running, or social media and athletics life. Do you love it, hate it, indifferent? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, and next week we're going to be talking a bit more about what we talked about in our first episode, which was who decides whether you're pro or you're semi-pro. Who's in charge of this? What makes someone a pro?
It'll be good to expand on that a little bit more. Okay, we hope you guys tune in to listen and watch next time, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you can, give it a like, a subscribe, or follow, whatever it is, on whichever thing you're watching it on, because it will help us. It will help our confidence more than anything. So, bye.
Bye.